Welcome back to another Chicken Google Soup tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make multiple copies of the same object that share the same UV space and texture. Now you might be wondering, what's the use of this? Well, in some cases, your creature might have incredibly lots amount of teeth. Imagine having so many teeth and then having like all of these appear in separate spots on the UV map. That's not efficient, and you probably don't want all your teeth to be different colors anyways. The best way to do the teeth is to share the UV space between all of them. But you're probably wondering, since you're here, how do I do that? Well, I'll provide you a great example of how you can do stuff like teeth, spikes, horns, and make them all share the same UV space. For this example, I'm going to make horns because you don't need as many of them, and it might be easier to start with because they're not inside the mouth. So I'm going to start with horns and finish with teeth on the top and bottom jaw in this tutorial. So we're going to add, first of all, a cube to make our horn. And then we're going to position the horn, which is already just a cube, into the head, rotating accordingly. G and R keys are for translation and rotation, respectively. And now we got the horn base. We're going to delete this face right here. So we hit X, delete by faces. And now we're going to sculpt out a horn, or more like model out a horn. There's a difference between modeling and sculpting. And now we're going to make a horn shape. I'm going to make it curve a little backwards using the handles and rotation tools to make it a nice shape. And end it with a tip. And we have a horn. And now, before we do anything else, we're going to back to object mode, adding a subdivision surface modifier and applying it. Shade that smooth. And this is the part where we make things share the same UV space. Going underneath the horn, select all the underside vertices. Press Ctrl E and mark C. And now we're going to vertically split the window into two. Go into the UV editor for the new window, select the entire mesh that we just made and press U and then unwrap. Now we're going to position the horn UV anywhere we want. I will go for the top left of the UV grid. And this is where we start making things share the same space. In order to do this, all we have to do is copy this horn with the Shift D key and place it wherever we want on the creature. You'll notice in the UV window, the UV itself is actually becoming brighter or more opaque. That's because you have created a second UV map right on top of the first one, which is good. And the more horns you add, the more opaque it becomes. once you're satisfied with the number of horns you have, you can then select the whole thing, go to Mesh, and then Symmetrize to add even more on the other side. And all of these, we go back to edit mode, all of these will share the same texture here. Now all we have to do is rig the horns to the head. Using the same thing as we've done in the eye tutorial, except changing the bone to the head. Let's rename this. Okay, I'm going to rename all my meshes while I'm at it. Okay, horns. Now the vertex group is head. You can skip through this part if you already know how to rig things like this. Alright, now it's time to do the teeth. Teeth are a little harder because they're inside a mouth. And this creature has its mouth closed. So, first of all, we're going to do the top teeth. So we're going to go Add, Mesh, Cube, rename it so it's easier to see. And we're going to position one tooth and model one tooth into the head, making sure it stays inside the mouth, not sticking out anywhere, no holes, and also not sticking out of the bottom jaw. We're going to use less extrusions for the teeth because they add a lot to the poly count when subdivided. Just because there's so many of them. Using the same method we did with the horns, we are going to Control E, mark seam, A, U, unwrap, and then we're going to move the teeth to a different region. Let's do the top right this time. Shade smooth. We're being inside the head right now, but what you can do is open the jaw. This way you can see better. And we're just going to make a few example copies. With the Shift D duplication method. Making sure that none of our teeth are misplaced. And now we're going to symmetrize that. And then we're going to rig the top teeth. So we're going to add a modifier, armature, object rig, vertex groups, head. But don't add any weights yet because we're going to actually add some more to the jaw, which in this case is actually the chin bone. So we're going to do that. The jaw is back here, the chin is right here. So we're going to actually have to Alt-R, clear the rotation of the jaw so we can rig the teeth to the chin bone. This is where it gets a little difficult because you do have to be inside the mouth. So I'll say Shift D, then rotate on the Y with R, Y, and then 180 degrees to rotate it around. Make sure it's not sticking out of the bottom. You do have to change your camera position every once in a while. And reorient the teeth like so. Go into wireframe just to see what it looks like underneath. And we're going to add bottom teeth. I won't need as many of these, as this is just a tutorial and I'm not making an entire creature. So let's just symmetrize this. And we have bottom teeth. Cool. Now we're going to rig them. And the way I do it is I open the jaw and then go back into object mode, select the teeth, and weight paint. Now select the chin, and then we go back into edit mode again. Here's why. We're going to select all the bottom teeth with the L key. There's only 6. We're going back into weight paint mode, and this button at the top is called vertex selection. We click that, and then only the bottom teeth are highlighted. Now we can add weights to these teeth. And only these teeth will move with the bottom jaw. And now we're going to weight paint again, but this time we're not going to select anything. Go to the head vertex group. Make sure your armature is selected as well. That's something you'll need to do. Make sure you're on the head vertex group. You can do this by selecting it in the vertex group tab and selecting the bone just to be doubly sure. We're going to weight these teeth. I'll rotate it so you see what the difference is. And X mirror on. Now we're going to normalize these weights. And in order to do that, we select all the bones with the A key, go to weights, normalize all, and make sure lock active is unselected so that it normalizes everything. And now we have teeth that all share the same UV texture. You do not have to paint every tooth individually. Now if I merge the teeth and the horns together, go into edit mode, select all of them, you'll see that all the horns use this part of the UV map and all the teeth use this part of the UV map. So they'll all share the same exact texture. This is very useful when your creature has many different body parts and many different UV regions, but you want to keep the detail on stuff like the main body and other large pieces of mesh. Now, otherwise, if I would show you what it looked like normally, You do not want to color all of these individual teeth and horns, do you? That would take up so much space, and it would take up a lot more time when texturing. So we like to keep it like this, for easiness, convenience, and, well, better detail on the more important parts. And that is basically it for this tutorial and the bonus content of how to rig and UV map multiple copies of a same object. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.